Recipes are great for those who want to make simple and nutritious homemade meals. The only problem is, there's not much information out there for raw-feeding cats, let alone nutritionally balanced meals. So I decided to make one for you. This recipe is for healthy adult cats around 10 to 11 pounds. It's around 288 calories and about 6 ounces or 170 grams of food. But don't worry, if your cat weighs more or less than this, I'll show you how to figure out your cat's needs later in this video. Now, this recipe isn't the only thing you should feed for the rest of your cat's life, but it's a great starter recipe during the transition phase. So let's begin. First, we're going to start with the base of the meal, the muscle meat. Raw feeders try to recreate what wild felines naturally eat in the wild by Frankensteining different animal parts together. This loosely mimics a prey animal's body, and muscle meat is what takes up most of the body. So let's first add in 1.3 ounces or 37 grams of 90-10 ground beef. I like using ground meats in beginner recipes because it has a similar texture to canned foods. Red meats are great to feed because they provide a lot of iron and B vitamins. Your cat needs iron and B vitamins in their diet so their organs and metabolism can function properly. So I always include at least one red meat in cat meals. But there is a slight problem. There's one vitamin cats have a crazy high requirement for that red meats just don't have enough of. Vitamin B1, or thiamine. Cats need a lot of thiamine in their diet, but luckily there's one meat that's uniquely high in it: pork. Pork is often frowned upon, but it's actually a staple in my pet's diets because of how nutrient-dense it really is. So along with beef, let's add 1.3 ounces or 37 grams of pork loin with fat. Pork sold for human consumption is safe to feed in the US, Canada, and EU. But if you're wary of feeding pork, you can feed 2.6 ounces of ground beef and add 1/8 teaspoon of nutritional yeast, which will easily meet thiamine needs. Now, let's move on to the muscular organ. These are parts like heart, lungs, green tripe, and gizzards. And they're hidden gems inside of a prey animal's body because of how nutritious they are. These organs take up a good portion of a prey animal's body, so I like to add in at least one of these parts. Chicken hearts are pretty easy to find, packed with folic acid, iron, and zinc, and also the perfect size for kitties. So let's add in 1.3 ounces or 37 grams of chicken heart. Next is the raw meaty bone, which keeps your cat's bones strong and teeth clean. Raw bones are also the only animal part which provides enough calcium and magnesium, which are crucial to the diet. Now, feeding bones may sound scary, but remember, we're trying to mimic a prey animal. So as long as you never feed cooked bones and stick to the right sized meaty bones, they're perfectly safe to feed. So for this recipe, add 0.9 ounces or 25.5 grams of chicken neck. Necks are easy to find at international markets, the perfect size for cats, and great for scraping tartar off the teeth. The next ingredient provides 2 nutrients that are hard to get elsewhere: liver. Secreting organ meats like liver are a carnivore's natural multivitamin because they're super concentrated in vitamins and minerals. And this recipe calls for 0.1 ounces or 3 grams of beef liver. I like using beef liver or other ruminant animal liver like goat, lamb, or bison because they're much higher in copper than poultry liver. And a little goes a long way. This tiny amount is all you need to meet your cat's vitamin A and copper needs. Next, we need to add at least one other secreting organ meat. A prey animal has many secreting organ meats in their body, like pancreas, spleen, brain, and many more. But it's tough to find many of these at the grocery store. So in this recipe, I'm adding one of the most common secreting organ meats you can find here in the US, beef kidney, which is a great iron and B vitamin booster. This recipe calls for 0.4 ounces or 11 grams. Okay, this is a fine prey model meal so far. But since we can't feed every body part in a prey animal's body, a few nutrients are still missing that make this recipe complete and ready for your kitty. So to make it nutritionally complete, we need to add a few more whole food ingredients. Next, add 0.4 ounces or 11 grams of sardines canned in water. Sardines provide an ample amount of omega-3s, which are vital for your cat's skin and coat health, and also vitamin D, which is needed for proper bone health. Canned sardines are easy to find in most stores, and also quite cheap. The next ingredient may sound a little silly to feed, but without it, your cat may not be getting enough manganese in their diet, which is a crucial joint and tissue-supporting nutrient. What is it? Blue, black, or Chilean mussels. These might sound hard to find, but you can find frozen steamed mussels at local seafood markets and even Walmart. All we need is about 0.3 ounces or 8.5 grams. The last two ingredients are only needed in the smallest amounts, and you are probably going to have to order these online. The first one is seaweed, and in this recipe I'm using this brand, which is a mixture of kelp, dulse, and laver. Seaweed is super concentrated in the mineral iodine, which is very low in raw diets without a thyroid gland, and that's most raw diets. This recipe only needs about 1/16 of a teaspoon. The last ingredient is actually the only non-whole food item, and this is vitamin E oil. I'm using this brand, which is naturally occurring vitamin E and very easy to dose to smaller pets. All this recipe needs is 1 to 2 drops. And voila, that's it. Okay, wait. What about the adult cats that weigh more or less than 10 to 11 pounds? How are you supposed to figure out how many calories they need? Well, in my free raw feeding cheat sheet, I give you the simple formula on how to figure that out, along with other helpful info like what meat, organs, and bones you should feed, what nutrients are commonly low in raw diets, and many other helpful tips and reminders. You can download your free cheat sheet in the link below.